Mr. Gilbert is not present for mental health reasons.
Your Honor, I have a Brown at the very end of the docket.
Gilbert and the Moabs. Mr. Gilbert is not present for mental health reasons. Let's see. Charged with murder and tampering with evidence. Both cases are assigned to the 209th District Court. Can we hear probable cause, please?
And Your Honor, just to let you know before I start this, because this is a 3.5-page dump summary, the reason why I wanted to do it at the end is that there are some facts in here that should not have been said in front of the forum, but there was a probable cause warrant that was issued on January 19th, 2021 that he was arrested on.
Okay.
The offense date is going to be September 18th, 2020. The defendant is the complainant's ex-boyfriend, killed her in an apartment located at a specific location in Harris County, disposed of her body at Bear Creek Park area, destroyed evidence relating to the murder based on the combination of cell phone records, location records, financial records, surveillance video, statements made by the defendant and witnesses. On September 27th, officers were assigned to investigate the disappearance of the complainant reported by concerned family members. On October 3rd, 2020, a human corpse was found in the Bear Creek Park area, 6 miles from the complainant's apartment. At the autopsy, the remains were confirmed to be the complainant. The cause and manner of death was homicidal violence, including a gunshot wound to the head. Autopsy report also indicated the complainant's hyoid bone was fractured, indicative of neck compression, including strangulation. When officers spoke with the witness, stated that the complainant had been living with the defendant, the ex-boyfriend, until the beginning of September 2020 when they broke up and he moved out. They broke up because he sexually assaulted the complainant. According to another witness, the defendant had recently broken into the complainant's apartment during the night, stood over her bed with a knife in his hand, refusing to let her get up or leave. Went on for hours. The witness stated that the complainant was scared of the defendant. As a result, there were multiple instances of the defendant going to the apartment unannounced, peeking through the apartment window, showing up uninvited. Officer reviewed text messages recovered from the complainant's account, including the complainant telling the defendant on September 5th she felt unsafe. He responded that he would not harm her. She responded that he brought a knife when he broke in. The defendant never denies breaking into the home in the text messages. He also admitted that they broke up in early September because the complainant accused him of sexual assault. After receiving the missing persons report, but prior to finding the body, officers spoke with the family. When officers spoke with the defendant stated that he had not returned to the complainant's apartment since the night of September 18th until the family contacted him on September 25th. In a later conversation with the defendant, he changed the time that he left the complainant's apartment to midnight, further stated that he had moved all of his stuff at the beginning of September 2020 and did not need to take or move anything else out of the apartment. He returned to the apartment on the 19th to return her debit card. During the later interview, the defendant stated on January 7th, he admitted that he had not been invited, that he had shown up uninvited the night of the 18th, wanted to see her. The officers then reviewed extensive video surveillance, saw the complainant getting into her motor vehicle on September 18th. There was a passenger, later identified as the defendant, that got into the vehicle as well. They located them at a restaurant and then at a gas station. revealed that the defendant is making several trips back and forth from the complainant's apartment building to the parking lot September 18th and the early morning hours of September 19th from 1:40 a.m. to 1:46 a.m. The defendant can be seen carrying out a large item from the direction of the complainant's apartment, then setting it on the ground between some vehicles in the parking lot. It appeared to have substantial weight. The defendant walked towards where the complainant's vehicle was parked and then breaks into a run before leaving out of camera view. Less than a minute later, the complainant's vehicle is seen entering the view of the camera, stops perpendicular to the item on the ground. The defendant opens the rear of the motor vehicle, picks up the large item, places it into the back of the vehicle, reverses the vehicle. The complainant's vehicle is later located back in the parking spot on the far side of the complex. Is going through further surveillance video of the defendant taking trips to the complainant's apartment, throwing items into a nearby dumpster, including a sofa. And a pocket warrant for the defendant for the murder and tampering with evidence of human corpse. The officer believes that there is clear evidence that the complainant was killed shortly after returning to her apartment with the defendant on September 18th. It was the last night anyone saw her, the last date anyone spoke with her on the phone, last time she was ever seen on surveillance. The complainant made it clear to the defendant was a threat, accused him of sexual assault, was beginning to move on with her life. The defendant is seen loading the heavy item into the car, driving off, only to return within an hour, park her vehicle on the other side of the complex. And then the defendant also made a series of false, misleading statements during the investigation and continued to return to the apartment after her death, removing items, furniture, disposing of them into the dumpster.
Okay, as it relates to the murder charge, we find that probable cause exists. As it relates to the tampering with evidence charge, we find that probable cause exists. State what is your position as it relates to bail for each charge?
Your Honor, I'm just going to check one more thing.
Charge. One second here. On the murder case, we're going to set bail at $250,000. As conditions of bail, no drugs, no alcohol, no firearms.